Welcome everyone to a new episode of Building and Painting. In today's episode, we are going to see how to apply the matte and dust to the running gear, including the tracks. We wanted to show all this process in detail, and that's why this video is longer than the rest. We start with the running gear. We will work with the dust and deposits line and white spirit to blend these products. We are going to use the thick part of the paint, but not shaking the bottles, and mix the two colors. We split the mixture and add some plaster to one of them. First, we start applying the normal mixture on the places that will accumulate most of the dust. Next, we apply the thick mixture around details that mud would normally stick to. Now it's time to start blending the matte using a brush damped in white spirit. Try to blend, making vertical movements, and remove any excess with more white spirit. When the mat is almost dry, it's important that we give it texture by heating the surface with an oil brush. Now we can repeat the process working in small areas so we can better control the drying time and finish. When we are done and the mat is fully dry, the model will look like this. Now we are going to add some damp areas to give interest and contrast to the dry mat. We will use engine oil, fuel stains or dark oil colors to do that. As the layer of mat we have applied is mostly pigments mixed with plaster, we need to damp the surface with white spirit before we start to work. Then, we only need to apply the mixture around corners and places that the mat should still be wet. As you can see, the mat will soak the paint by a capillarity effect. If needed, blend any undesired mark using more white spirit. We use the airbrush to dry again the surface to see the finish. Check how we have improved the look of this area only by doing that. Now it looks more interesting and contrasted. Now it's time for the wheels. We will be using a very similar approach. Prepare two mixtures. One, using the thick paint of dust and deposits without shaking the bottle. And the other with the normal dust and deposits product. Start applying the thick mixture first randomly. Use the normal mixture on the inside and back part of the wheel. Then start blending all using some clean white spirit. Look how it looks when it dries. We We can now retouch the finish using a brush. When these products dry, it's very similar to regular dust and earth, so we can easily remove it using a brush or our fingers. This is the look of the wheels after applying this step. Now we will apply damped areas as we did with the running gear. Start by damping the surface with thinner. Then, apply dark oil tones or foil stains to recreate the damp areas. Once they are dry and finished, they look like this. And with that, we have the running gear and wheels completed. Now we move to weathering the tracks. It is very important to work correctly the vinyl tracks. We cannot soak them with any thinner like wet spirit as it will melt the plastic. Instead, we will use solvent-based paint with an airbrush in order to avoid soaking them with these products, and use mostly acrylics for the rest of the weathering. First, apply mask tape on the inner part to keep clean where the rubber of the wheels touches the track. Now we spray some dust and deposits with the airbrush little by little, trying to avoid staying too much in one place. Now we have dusty tracks. Let's apply some mud to them. We are going to use acrylic paste mixed with plaster so we can safely work with the vinyl tracks. Apply the mud randomly with an old brush. It's better if you work in small zones. Next, use a round brush dumped in water to press the mud and blend it with the track. Look the difference between the track we have already worked and the other one. To add further contrast, we now airbrush very random patches of fly dust from dusting deposits. Look how they look after this step. As we did with the running gear and the wheels, we now add some damp areas to add richness and even more contrast. We do that by using chipping color. Apply some of this paint thinned down with water. Do it little by little and blend it with water if necessary. This is the look of the trucks with all these steps applied. The last step is representing the bare metal effects of the trucks caused by the friction between trucks and wheels. We use for that a graphite pencil, rubbing it against the surfaces. This step requires patience, but gives the trucks the realism they deserve. To finish, we can remove the tape and put the trucks in place. In the next episode, we will finish the model, explaining the final steps and the rest of the dusting process. So you better stay tuned for more, and happy modeling!